Hey guys, Dustin Miller, PPC Pros. Just want to talk to you about conversion tracking checkups. Nobody likes that dreaded instance when a client sees their monthly report, sees conversions and conversion rate is down, cost per conversion is high, and reality is nothing actually went wrong. Conversion tracking just broke. Or you start optimizing for bids and things thinking that you've got this big problem with conversion rate. Reality is it's conversion tracking problems with the pixel or something else. So we'll jump right in. I'll explain to you how often we do this, what we look for, and a quick and easy way you can add this to your weekly optimization regimen without a lot of pain and without a lot of headache. So stay tuned. Alright guys, so conversion tracking, I don't think I have to explain how important it is for an account, but what I've learned over the years is it doesn't always work as intended. There's a lot of metrics that could play into things. It could be web developers if you're not in control of the website, updating things, rolling out changes to the site, using backups. It could just be other fluke instances where, for whatever reason, tracking pixels fall off the page or something else happens. So we learned over the years, and this is years ago, that even though technically we don't take the responsibility of managing clients' websites, we find it is in our best interest to keep an eye on whether or not the pixels are falling off the page or what's going on. So it does lead to a rabbit trail sometimes where we're having to track down what clients did to the site, reach out to their developers. But in the long run, it's a lot better than finding out you have a problem, weeks or months into it. So part of our weekly process, and we recommend people do this weekly, is double check conversion tracking. So typically what you see is, if you look at the screen right here, we've got a date range comparison, and at the bottom you can see for these about 10 days or so, we had 16 conversions, and for these 10 days we had 3. Now, one of the big things that new PPC managers or people who don't do a great job at digging into things look at is, they might see this big drop in conversions and think, oh my God, something's going wrong with the ads, or, my traffic is bad, and they start looking around other things. And unfortunately, when you're new, you do that kind of thing. But after you've done this for a little while, you realize a big drop like that, if there's nothing major going on that you're aware of, could probably be a tracking issue. And so sometimes what happens is you see, well, it doesn't say we have 0 conversions, so tracking must be working. And people forget that if you've got multiple conversion types, like calls from ads, calls from a website, or web form conversions, the fact that there's 3 conversions might mean that only some of the tracking is broken. And so for this particular client case, this actually happened at the beginning of this year, at the end of last year, and that's why I use this as an example, because you can see there's an 80% drop off in conversions, but there still was conversions tracking. And so if we look at this, I want to give you a couple ways to spot check this in your weekly optimizations. But I wanted to outline the problem here, because if it said 0 conversions, then hopefully you'd realize that it's very likely a conversion tracking issue if nothing major has changed. But if you do see some conversions, that doesn't mean conversion tracking is working. So just wanted to point that out. One of the first places you could check that I recommend is just going right into your conversions tab right here at the gear icon, clicking on conversions. And then you can see right here, this is not a great example because we are recording conversions, but you may see an error message like this: no recent conversions. And so you can see the last conversion recorded was 121 days ago. That's also because we switched call tracking providers in that time. But a lot of times this is what you'll see. You'll see a last conversion recorded. If you do have conversions recording but not very often, or that it just broke, you might see conversion tag is active, and then the last conversion recorded 2 days ago. You may also see an instance where it says conversion tag last seen, and it would be a day, let's just say it was yesterday, but the last conversion recorded, maybe it'll say 8 days ago or 12 days ago. That could indicate that you have a problem somewhere in within those 12 days, if it's been that long without a conversion, and typically you see conversions on a daily basis or every other day. Depends on the conversion type, depends on the traffic that you're used to getting and what you're used to getting in the account. So just keep that in mind as well. So this is the first place I start, and I look at the different conversion types and whether or not we're missing a conversion type or a conversion type is not getting any action at all. Let's see if this one shows it. So this is one of the places you could look. Sometimes also, this is a little bit more rare, but it could be that certain conversion types and certain parts of the account don't work. An example of this would be if you've got different conversion actions like calls, call tracking on a website, and you have a multi-location website where each location has its own call tracking conversion because maybe they're going to unique phone numbers. So in that case, you might see something like phone call, but it might say phone call location, right? Phone call Phoenix, phone call Miami. And so what you'd want to do there is make sure obviously each one of those are tracking as well. And then also if there may be, let's say, calls from ads, you may want to look at each campaign to make sure all conversion types are firing if they normally do in a campaign. And so the way you do that is just going back to your campaign tab and looking at a segment. So I'm just going to get rid of the comparison, or well, I'll get rid of it for the sake of this example. Apply, and then you can see right here under segments, conversions, conversion action. And from this you can see, like in this example, this campaign had web form fills, but this one did not. For this client, I know this is not a big deal, but in your case you might be like, wow, we're seeing conversions only from calls from ads and we're not seeing them from any calls from website. So that could indicate a problem. So this is the important thing. One other thing you can do to go the extra step if you really have to, if you're not really sure what's going on, but you want to dig into the pixel and the implementation a little bit, is using Google Tag Assistant. So I have an example of a landing page here, and Google Tag Assistant is a nice little Chrome extension. You can go to the Chrome, let me just bring this down a little bit. Google Tag Assistant. So you can get this at the Chrome extension. Basically, just go to Google Chrome extensions and look for Google Tag Assistant, excuse me, and download it. It's free. This thing right here will save you a ton of time if you're constantly troubleshooting conversion tracking, whether it be lead gen or e-commerce, doesn't matter. Google Analytics tags, anything Google related. So remarketing, analytics, Google Tag Manager. This thing will help you troubleshoot poor implementation. So this is an example landing page that we used a while back, and you can see as we load it, once you first fire up Google Tag Assistant, you may need to enable it and then refresh the page. But you can see right here, if you see a green or a blue, it means your tag is firing correctly. Blue means that there's something you could do to make it a little bit better. I wouldn't worry about it. If you see yellow or red, it means you got a problem, and it's either not firing at all or there's issues with it firing consistently, and you can dig into that on your own. But basically what we want to do is on this landing page, we want to see that we have our global site tag here, and then once I convert, so I'm just going to scroll down to a pre-filled form here, go to the thank you page, and then as I click it in my browser, I don't know if you can see that or not, you can see global site tag again, AdWords conversion tracking tag is firing. So this is really helpful for when things don't seem that straightforward. You can just dig into it with Google Tag Assistant, and that might give you a little bit more insight into, well, yeah, I see the tag on the page and the source code, but maybe it's not firing correctly and there's something that you're just not able to tell on the surface. Maybe it's missing. For WordPress sites, this is notorious. When you add tracking codes, that WordPress will strip out some of the characters and it'll give you a CData error, which basically is just part of the code that it strips out. So if you see it, you might be searching for the name of the tag on the page and you can actually see it, but you're not seeing the error where it stripped things out. And Google Tag Assistant's really great at picking up those things. So hopefully this helped. I recommend, and we typically, we do check this for clients every week as part of our optimization. We also check landing page URLs And, if there's not a million of them, we'll spot check the high traffic ones, make sure pages aren't broken, links aren't broken. That's another thing that could affect tracking. Maybe it's not the pixel at all, maybe it's the URL. So keep that in mind, and you can also take a look at some of the top pages or the pages that look like they're having problems by just popping into, I'll show you real quick, popping into predefined reports, basic, final URL, and the state range is very short, but you can see what the URLs here we're getting traffic to. And in this case, spot check the top traffic ones, or if you see that there's no conversions or poor conversions, poor conversion rate on some of them, and typically it's higher, you can spot check these with Tag Assistant and make sure the pixels are present on all the pages they should be. So hope you found this helpful. Don't forget about doing this. The last thing you want is a client calling you up wondering why they got their report this month and the conversions are down, when in reality the phone calls are still there. You're just not seeing them in their monthly report. Ask me how I know. So just be proactive about it. Save yourself the headache, and best of luck to you. Leave me some comments in the video. If you have any questions about this, let me know. Thanks for watching.